If you want to know about the deal Boruto made with Momoshiki in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 25, then this video is perfect for you. Here's why. I'll explain the events that might have pushed Boruto to make this deal, as well as the possible results and consequences that could come from it. So, what deal did Boruto make with Momoshiki? Boruto asked Momoshiki to give him power so he could fight Jura and protect his sister Himawari from being devoured by Jura. He also wanted to protect the shinobi world from the danger posed by the divine trees, since their leader Jura is in charge and could cause destruction Boruto is trying to avoid. In return for Momoshiki giving him this power, Boruto promised to let Momoshiki use his body to achieve his goals. This deal might be appealing to Momoshiki because Momoshiki cannot revive himself using Boruto's body anymore. This is because Momoshiki brought Boruto back to life using part of the Kama Seal after Kawaki killed Boruto. Momoshiki rewrote the last 18% of the Kama Seal that was left to be extracted from the Kama Seal into Boruto's data. This allowed the cells and tissues Boruto had lost to be recreated and restored. This turned Boruto completely into an Otsutsuki because the rewritten data was Otsutsuki data from the start. It also means Momoshiki can no longer bring himself back to life using Boruto's body. So why did Boruto make a deal with Momoshiki? Boruto is a strategic fighter who has inherited the Will of Fire from Itachi and Sasuke. This means he's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good and protect others from the shadows. Boruto had been warned many times by Akashin Koji that in many possible futures, he had seen with his present Shinjutsu ability, Boruto be killed by Jura. Not only that, after Boruto fought Hidari and defeated him, he realized just how strong Jura could be. Jura fired a small compressed Biji bomb from a distance, which knocked Boruto to the ground and made him pass out. That day, Boruto got a glimpse of Jura's power. Because Boruto is very strategic, he must have noticed that Kashin Koji's plan given to Shikamaru to get Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru to join the Sen Shinobi to defeat the Divine Trees was flawed. It only worked if everything went perfectly and had no plan for things going wrong. When Boruto escaped from Konoha with the help of Shikamaru and Mitsuki, he realized he needed a backup plan. This plan had to ensure that Sarada, Konohamaru, Mitsuki, and the Sen Shinobi could be saved if Shikamaru's plan failed. So Boruto came up with a plan to make Kawaki aware of how to increase his power. Boruto had two main objectives when he told Kawaki how to increase his strength. 1. Distract Jura and help the team. Boruto wanted Kawaki to use his full power to go to the place where Sarada and the others would be fighting the Divine Trees, Ryu and Matsuri. Once Kawaki arrived, Boruto will use the Flying Raijin to teleport to them. He knew Jura will appear, so he wanted Kawaki to distract Jura while the team defeated Matsuri and Ryu and got their Thorn Soul Bulb. Boruto understood that even Kawaki's full power might not be enough to defeat Jura. The distraction would give Boruto a chance to use the Flying Raijin Jutsu to safely teleport everyone away, something impossible if he were fighting Jura alone. 2. Measure Kawaki's power. Boruto also wanted to see how Kawaki performed against Jura at full power. This will help him understand how much strength Kawaki had and how much he himself would need to defeat Jura in the future. However, things didn't go as Boruto planned. He needed to appear on the battlefield before Kawaki did, and he had to adjust his plans when Konohamaru's life was in danger. Using the Flying Raijin Jutsu, Boruto teleported to where Konohamaru and Matsuri were. He threw a shuriken near them, then teleported directly to Matsuri, quickly threw his sword and defeated her with one strike, saving Konohamaru. Because Boruto went to the battlefield to save Konohamaru, he had to face Jura himself, as Kawaki had not arrived yet. Boruto then adjusted his plan again. He told Konohamaru to take Matsuri's Stone Soul Bulb, meet up with Sarada and Mitsuki, and go to the place where they first met the Sen Shinobi. This was also where Delta appeared with one of Boruto's metal pieces used for Flying Raijin. Boruto needed to fight Jura long enough for Kawaki to arrive. Boruto knew this would give him the time to prepare the Flying Raijin Jutsu to teleport everyone to safety. During the fight, Boruto used all his skills, but Jura defeated him. Kawaki then arrived and used his full power, but individually, they were still far weaker than Jura. Because of the time Kawaki took to fight Jura, Boruto managed to prepare the Flying Raijin Jutsu and successfully teleported everyone back to safety in Konoha. While in Konoha, Konohamaru used the Thorn Soul Bulb to bring back Moegi. Boruto stayed floating in the air, hiding his chakra, so no one will know he was there, because he was still considered a dangerous enemy wanted by many shinobi from different villages as a result of the omnipotence altering everyone's memories to make them believe he's an enemy responsible for the disappearance of Naruto and Hinata. At this point, Boruto realized that Jura was far stronger than he expected, and defeating him would require much more power. He saw how happy and relieved Himawari, Konohamaru, the Inoshika Cho team were when Muegi was saved. Boruto didn't leave Konoha. He waited until Himawari went to their home. From a distance, he watched her training. With the will of fire of his master Sasuke, which is about self-sacrifice for the greater good and protecting from the shadows, Boruto knew he needed more power to protect his sister from Jura and to prevent the shinobi world from destruction caused by Jura as the leader of the Divine Tree people. In short, Boruto decided to seek power from Momoshiki because he realized that he and Kawaki, the two strongest people besides Daemon, could not defeat Jura individually. They were far below his power. Boruto also understood that once Kawaki activates his karma, his own karma will also activate. This meant he could not fight Jura alongside Kawaki without Momoshiki trying to take over his body. Boruto realized he needed to make a deal with Momoshiki to gain power. This way, he could fight Jura at full strength alongside Kawaki without worrying about Momoshiki taking over his body, allowing both of them to use their karma seals to their fullest in battle. Now that you understand why Boruto is trying to make a deal with Momoshiki, let's look at the possible outcomes if this deal actually happens. The first possible outcome is linked to Kawaki. Kawaki sees the Otsutsuki and anything connected to them as the cause of many bad events in the world. For the past 3 years, omnipotence has altered everyone's memory so they believe Kawaki is the real Uzumaki and the son of Naruto and Hinata. Because of this, Kawaki must have learned about the history of the shinobi world, including what Kagewa Otsutsuki did to gain power to fight Momoshiki, Oroshiki, and Kinshiki, as well as how Madara was manipulated into reviving Kagewa, which caused many terrible things to happen. On top of that, Kawaki himself was a victim of Ishiki Otsutsuki, who made his childhood even worse by taking him from his real father. From his own experience, Kawaki knows what the Otsutsuki are willing to do to gain power, committing awful acts, using people, manipulating them, and abusing them emotionally and physically, and treating them like tools. If Kawaki finds out that Boruto has been talking to Momoshiki again, it could break the alliance they had formed to focus on fighting Code and the Divine Trees. Since Boruto only fights in his base form, Kawaki is currently a bit stronger than him, thanks to Amado enhancing his Kamasil offensive abilities and giving him extra scientific upgrades. This means Kawaki could defeat Boruto in a fight. Right now, Boruto can enter Konoha, hide his chakra, and avoid detection from Konoha's shinobi because Kawaki is not actively trying to eliminate him. But if Kawaki learns that Boruto is talking to Momoshiki, Boruto will lose that advantage, as Kawaki will be able to sense his Otsutsuki aura and will want to fight him. Therefore, if Boruto wants to speak to Momoshiki and make a deal with him, he will need to do it in a way that Kawaki never finds out. The second possible outcome is that Momoshiki might betray Boruto. People are often guided by their own self-interest. Boruto's interest is to gain power so he can protect his sister Himawari from being devoured by Jura and to stop the destruction caused by the Divine Tree. Momoshiki's interest, however, is to gain power and evolve into a god by harvesting a chakra fruit. This can only happen if the planet and its people are drained of their chakra. Momoshiki knows he can no longer revive by using Boruto's body, as shown in Boruto Naruto Next Generations. His plan has been to influence Boruto's mind and push him into despair, either emotionally or mentally, so that Boruto loses the will to live. Momoshiki cannot take over Boruto's body to do this because Boruto has realized that Momoshiki can only gain control once the Karma Seal is fully activated. At this point in the story, Boruto is mentally strong enough to block Momoshiki from influencing him directly. Momoshiki himself has even admitted that the only thing his poor, homeless soul wants now is to be freed from the curse of being trapped inside Boruto's body through Boruto's death. But what if Momoshiki only pretends to agree to Boruto's deal? What if he uses his chance to make Boruto drop his guard and fully activate his Karma Seal, allowing Momoshiki to control his body again? In that small window of time, Momoshiki could use Boruto's body to cause massive destruction, further reinforcing Boruto's image as a traitor responsible for the disappearance of Naruto and Hinata, as well as a threat to Kawaki. The question is, would Boruto be mentally strong enough to resist Momoshiki's control and stop him from fully taking over his body forever? Momoshiki has also mentioned wanting to be freed from his cursed situation via Boruto's death. So what if he uses that time while in control of Boruto's body to kill Boruto, finally setting himself free? These are the risks Boruto needs to think about and plan for, while making sure his thoughts don't cross over to Momoshiki, since their minds are linked and can hear each other's thoughts if they start thinking. The third possible outcome is that by combining the power Boruto has in his base form, gained through training with Sasuke and Kashin Koji, with the power he would receive from Momoshiki, Boruto could become stronger than Kawaki at full power, and possibly even stronger than Jura. This is because all the abilities Boruto has learned and developed will be boosted by the Kama Seal, making them far stronger. At this point, the only people stronger than Boruto in his base form are Daemon, Kawaki with full Kama power and Amado's scientific upgrades, and Jura, the leader of the Divine Trees. In addition, Boruto will also possess the powers of both Momoshiki and Kinshiki through the Kama Seal. So far, we don't even know the full extent of Momoshiki's and Kinshiki's abilities, because a single battle doesn't always reveal all of a person's powers. The abilities Momoshiki showed during his fight against Naruto and Sasuke might not have been everything he could do. With Momoshiki's powers added to Boruto's own, there's a chance Momoshiki could become an even bigger threat than Jura, both to the shinobi world and to Kawaki. If no one can stop him, Momoshiki could feed Kawaki to the Divine Trees, harvest the chakra fruit, which will evolve, draining people and the planet of chakra completely. Boruto must find a way to prevent this from happening. There's no point in gaining enough power to defeat Jura if it only results in Momoshiki becoming a bigger danger than Jura, putting the same people and the planet Boruto is trying to save at risk. These are the three possible outcomes that Boruto must think about and find a way to stop them from happening if he's going to make a deal with Momoshiki.